Hey, so this is day 10 of my 30 days of React challenge, and today, instead of just hacking away as I normally do by myself, I've actually followed along with a code along to kind of get a different point of view. Obviously, there's a million ways of doing one thing, and I thought it would be good for me to see how someone else would approach a problem, because I was aware of the fact that I'm just doing the same thing every time and using the same methods. Um, yeah, so instead of explaining how all my code works and kind of going through things line by line this time, I'm just going to talk about a couple of the new features and methods that I discovered, and the things that I understand and the things that I don't understand with this tutorial I followed. Um, Also, I don't totally understand everything that's going on with this code that I followed along with. Yeah, and apologies to any seasoned coders out there. This is probably going to be really painful to watch me try and explain it. So I would say bail now. And anyone who's trying to learn, don't take anything I say as fact, because it's just kind of my learning experience and how I'm finding things. And I'm still learning, so I'm getting a lot of things wrong. But hopefully a few things right as well. Okay, so let's take a look. So a very quick demo. What we have here is a very simple just to-do list app. So here I can type hello, add task, how are you? And then by clicking on the elements, you delete them, like so. Okay, so for the code, one of the first things I'm going to talk about is something I don't actually really understand completely yet. There's a form. We use a form to create this add task with the submit button, and I've used forms in some of my previous apps. However, I kind of manually assigned a ref. So refs are the sort of value that you assign, so you can actually extract the data that the user's putting in. So if I type in hello, it kind of lets the whole app access that information. Yeah, so in previous apps, I was assigning that as a value, whereas here in this tutorial, they used this inbuilt method called React.createRef, which is called within the constructor. As you can see from my writing, I'm a little bit confused. I'm like, what is this? So basically what I think it is at this point is just kind of a more automated way of creating refs, so you don't have to actually manually input everything yourself. But I'm not entirely sure. So yeah, that's my first question mark for today's project, which I need to research more. Okay, the next thing I'm going to talk about is we'll just jump over to my component to-do list. In all of my apps so far, I've been using my main component, app.js, has had state, but all of my other additional components have been stateless, so stateless functional components. The difference being a stateless functional component is basically just a JavaScript function, and you can't have state, and you also don't have access to lifecycle methods, which is something else we'll come back to. Yeah, so I've been I've read a little bit about this in the past and been wow, trying to figure out when I should use them, when to use case A and when to use case B, and everyone seems to have a different opinion. But yeah, so anyway, the reason that they use a stateful component in this to-do list is so that we can access a lifecycle. The React inbuilt lifecycle methods, which are here. So kind of like component types, lifecycle methods are another thing that I've read a bit about, but haven't really been understanding completely, so I haven't really used any of them. So it was cool to have an excuse to kind of use one and try and understand what they are and what they do. So the cool thing about React is that it's rendered via a virtual DOM, which means that only the elements on a page which need to be updated are changed, as opposed to kind of refreshing or rendering everything on the page. And because of this, it kind of gives you access to different points in the DOM's kind of well, its life cycle, so you can execute methods at that point. So basically, what happens is each time this component is updated, we see here component did update. This is an inbuilt React lifecycle method. We execute this line of code, which allows us to, which focuses, I guess you'd say, the cursor back on this input, ready for the next to-do list element. So here we ToDo and click add task. You can see this is added and the cursor is ready again to take the next element. Whereas if I didn't have this here, I would then have to click here before I could type again. So that's what that's doing, and that's why it's called within that lifecycle method, so it's all ready to go when that component is loaded. But that's enough of my bumbling explanations for one day, and I'm already at 6 minutes. There's so much more that I could talk about that I kind of learnt or I'm still confused about in regards to this tutorial, but that's quite enough for now. Cheers, bye.